Are you looking for ideas on how to finish your next project? Join our quilting committee today while we come up with great ideas. Welcome to Handi Quilter Watch and Learn. Today we've got the whole studio education team. I'm Kim Sandberg, and we've got
Denise Dowdra
and
Kristina Whitney.
And we all recently made the same quilt. The pattern is available on the Handi Quilter website. It's called the Trellis pattern. And we finished it and we all went, oh, how do we quilt it? Is that right? Or
Yeah, that's about it.
That's about right.
So we got out our tried and true, how do you quilt it questions? And we thought, you know what, this would be kind of a fun exercise to go through. We all honestly have not planned how we're quilting these quilts yet. So let's go through some of the questions we like to ask ourselves as we're prepping to quilt. And then we're gonna do some quilting by committee and help each other figure out how we're gonna finish our quilts.
Excellent. What's our first question?
So the first question is, what is the quilt gonna be used for?
I have no idea.
Yeah, me either.
A wall hanging.
A wall hanging. Mine's probably going to be a wall hanging too.
Okay, I get an extra bonus point because I knew.
You knew. You were on. You were on.
So I think that with the size of this quilt, it could either be a baby quilt or it could be a wall hanging.
Yeah.
It's a little bit small to be, a lap or cuddle quilt. So with the amount of time that I put into piecing, I don't think it's going to be a baby quilt. I think it'll end up being a wall hanging. So next question.
Okay. Yeah, it was a little intensive. I know I made mine just a hair bigger, and it's really not much bigger. They're small. This is a smaller quilt because it's only 8-inch blocks. All right, so the next question is, what do you want the focus to be? There's something you want to have stand out or something you want to hide? I think we've all been saying as we've been piecing this, you can quilt that out, right?
Yeah, yeah.
I'm going to hide the lack of points lining up.
This was definitely a quilt that I wouldn't recommend this for a beginner level with piecing, just because there's a lot of making sure you get things directional. But I know once I got it figured out, and after I'd unpicked everything once and put it back together again correctly, it did actually go together pretty quickly.
Only once?
Only one time with the half of the entire set, yes.
I'll say we all had our seam rippers out and available throughout the whole process.
Actually, at one point, Kim took pity on me and she unpicked some pieces for me.
Well, I didn't want you to cry while you were ironing.
Oh, yeah, it was rough.
It happens. Okay, so I think we all agree that the piecing is not going to be the focus of this quilt. Maybe it's going to be a little bit more of the quilting. Okay, so a next question to ask is, are we going to quilt these custom or are they going to be edge to edge? I know for me, I'm going to do this custom. It's a small quilt. I figure it won't take as much.
I agree with you. It's a small quilt, and I actually made mine quite a bit smaller. So there's 18 blocks total. I only did 12.
Oh, okay.
So mine's going to be smaller, plus I have a white background with lots of negative space. So I think this is going to be a custom quilt.
Custom quilt. How about you, Kristina? Edge to edge or custom?
100% custom.
Okay.
Yeah, with the amount of time put into the piecing and also the fact that I picked these solid fabrics. I picked that just so that I could have some little playground space there to do a little custom quilting.
Have that quilting really pop.
Yeah.
And that is something you always want to consider. If you have a quilt that's got a lot of pattern in it, the quilting is not going to show as much. So if you do have something with solids, I think it usually is worth it to take the time to put a little extra effort and do some of that custom quilting.
Yeah. But an edge to edge would be fabulous as well.
Absolutely, absolutely. So the next question we like to ask ourselves is, how much time do you have? So do we all have unlimited time here? No.
Depends.
That's our standard answer, right? Well, it depends. I think for me, I'd like to take no more than about a week with like a few hours each day working on it. That's what I'm hoping for. I don't know what you guys are thinking.
I was thinking probably roughly around 10 hours, so pretty close to what you were saying, maybe 5 days of 2 hours a day.
A couple hours a day.
I just kind of jump in
and roll
and
with
I
it.
just keep adding to it. So when I get that cutoff, you're done, then I'm done.
You hit that point where you're like, I am done stitching. Let's move on.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is a good question always to ask yourself when you're looking at a quilt is, okay, what is my quilting level right now? And do I want to challenge myself to try something new, or do I want to use techniques that I am like super confident in doing? So this is a good question. So Denise, what do you think? You going to try something new?
I am going to challenge myself, and I don't know what it's going to look like yet, but it's definitely going to be a reach for me, something I haven't done before.
You know what? I think I'm going to do the same thing too. I kind of have an idea of doing a pattern that's really not going to follow the piecing at all, and I have never done a quilt like that, so it's going to be something new. We'll see how it turns out. What about you?
I do not believe in quilting a quilt without pushing myself to try something new. I mean, of course I've done it, but...
Well, yeah, it's judge, right?
Yeah, this one I definitely think I want to try some new stuff.
Okay.
With all of this negative space, I really want to play around with some secondary designs. So we'll see where it goes.
Where it goes. I like it. I like it. Okay, the quilting style. So how would you guys class your quilts? Are these, the way that we've pieced them is yours, do you feel like yours is more modern, traditional, contemporary, formal, themed? I know that Kristina actually kind of has a theme behind her quilt. So what's the story behind the color combination that you picked here?
Okay, this is not my typical blue and white quilt, obviously. So I would classify this a little bit more modern just because of the colors. Like the block is, it's kind of traditional modern at the same time, but I'm going to go a little bit more modern. The reason I picked these colors is actually I did not pick these colors.
Right.
I asked my daughter, and she just turned 18. I said, hey, I need to pick some quilt colors. What should I do? And she sent me a picture of Parry the Platypus from her TV show Phineas and Ferb. And so we'll put a little picture up there for you so you know who Phineas and Ferb is, or actually Parry the Platypus.
Yes.
And so that determined my colors.
I love it.
So I held a little picture of Parry the Platypus up to my computer screen as I was picking out different colors online. And yeah, so this is the Parry the Platypus quilt, and maybe we'll incorporate that into some of the quilting. We'll see.
I love that. You've got a little bit of a theme.
Yeah.
I know my quilt, I've actually got my backing draped over, but mine is actually super classic. It's a red and white quilt. So I think I'm definitely going to do a little bit more of a modern spin on the quilting, but the color combination I think makes it feel very traditional. I don't know about you guys,
agree.
like red and white quilt, super classic, right? And Denise, what did you pick here?
I did something a little different. I looked at the pattern cover and didn't want it to be too monochromatic. And I thought those little starbursts look like fireworks. So I did a patriotic theme, red, white, and blue. And I think I'm going to go with a little more modern quilting on it.
Okay, I like that, red, white, and blue. Ooh, fireworks. Let's see what happens here.
We'll see what happens.
I'm getting ideas for you as we're talking about this. Okay, and we've, so then the next few questions to talk about is the type of batting we want to use, the type of thread we want to use, and then talking about auditioning quilt designs on the quilt. Just a couple of last things, and I think maybe as we start talking about each of our separate quilts, we can kind of dive into what our choices are going to be there more. Okay, so we talked about the beginning of this video, building a quilting committee. So we highly recommend this for everybody. These two gals are definitely part of my quilting committee. I feel like every time I finish a quilt, I bring it into the studio and say, all right, tell me how to quilt it.
Yep. We all do.
We all do. We all do. And it's really great to have those friends, your quilty friends, who can help you, push you to try new things, and also just even sometimes getting that pat on the back of, yeah, what you have in mind is going to look good.
Or I have no clue.
Yeah.
You got to figure this one out on your own.
Help me out here. Those are all good things to do, but some places that you can find your local, your quilting committee is with local guilds. I think that's always a great place. Quilt shops, you know, often the people that work there are avid quilters, and they always love to share. Classes that you've taken, retreats that you go to, and then there's also online groups. I mean, I see so many people post pictures of unfinished quilts and say, hey, give me ideas. People do come up with great ideas.
Oh, yeah.
Online.
Yeah, and with technology now, you can take that picture that somebody posts and you can draw on it and send it back to them. Oh, it's fabulous.
It's fabulous. So just a few other things to remember before we dive into this is, number one, finish is always better than perfect with a quilt. Wouldn't you guys agree with that?
Yep.
A quilt is never going to be perfect, but it certainly can be finished. And I think we keep joking, but honestly, I think I want this to be the title of the video. You are the boss of your own quilt. At the end of the day, you get to choose what you're doing. Unless if you're quilting for other people, then, you know, obviously there's a boss with a checkbook, but remember, you're the one that gets to make those choices. And don't be too hard on yourself. Enjoy the process and just have fun with it. And you know what? If you do things that maybe you're not so happy with, look at it as learning opportunities rather than being hard on yourself and pointing that out to everybody. So,
can I make a little comment about that?
Go for it.
Let's talk about the quilt behind us real quick.
Yeah, let's do. So, Kristina, tell us about the quilt behind us, because this is the same pattern.
It is the same
Little
pattern, a different layout. It's only got 9 blocks, and I didn't do them on point, and so it was a little bit easier. But I came up with this fabulous quilting idea. Oh, it was going to be so lovely. And I stitched out like most of the first throat space and realized, yeah, it's not going to be lovely. It's not going to work. Some of the spacing issues were a problem. So I decided that I didn't like it. And with it only being the first throat space, I got to try something new.
Yes, you did. What did you bring in to work?
I brought in a razor blade. I borrowed one of my husband's construction razor blades that has a nice little handle on it, and I skinned the quilt. So we can insert a little video real quick of me skinning the quilt, meaning I pulled the top and the batting back, and then I just used that razor blade and cut the threads in between the batting and the backing. And it was so much easier than unpicking. So I learned something new on that quilt, and then I was able to come up with a different idea that worked a little bit better.
Exactly. And you ended up doing this quilt with Pro Stitcher block designs, right? Mostly?
I did, but I really tweaked the designs using Pro Stitcher Designer to make them fit the space how I wanted it to fit. And then I also did some ruler work to outline the blocks. I didn't do stitch in the ditch because my ditches were flip-floppy.
Yeah, pressing on this quilt was kind of.
I didn't. I don't know. I did what I pressed in which direction.
We pressed it flat.
Yes,
just pressed it
that was
flat.
the goal. Just get it flat.
Yep.
Yeah. So I did about an eighth of an inch echo around the star.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Very cool.
That's that one. Okay, let's focus on these.
Turned out lovely. So that being said, Kristina, why don't we start with you and we'll just work our way down the table. Does that
Sounds
work?
good.
So
Okay.
Kristina, let's do some quilting by committee here. So tell us about the tools you've got here, and let's talk about thread and batting first, and then we can dive into design.
Okay, so batting first, that's the easy one. If I'm doing this as a wall hanging, I'm going to do a lot of custom work on it. I'm definitely going to use my 2 layers of batting.
Okay.
So the 80-20 with a wool on top, because that wool really helps that quilting to pop.
Yeah.
Top and pop.
Top and pop, I
Poet.
like it.
Thread. I'm not 100% sure on the thread. It's going to be determined by my design. If my design is going over both colors, I am going to go for the monopoly.
Okay.
Pop that off. If, however, I end up doing a design that's only in the green and then only in the orange, I might change thread colors,
Okay.
meaning I'm going to probably do monopoly. We'll be honest.
I don't blame you at all.
Yeah.
Monopoly's fantastic because it works on
Yep.
everything.
Yep, it'll just blend in. Okay, now, even right now, looking at this, I'm kind of, wow.
It's kind of day
I'm a
glow.
little overwhelmed. Just there's so much going on in these bright colors. So what I like to do in situations like this is take a picture of the quilt, and then I can pull it up on my phone or on the computer, and I can easily see the overall feel, and that helps me see things that can pop out and speak to me. So I did that earlier, and I'm going to actually just grab a shower curtain real quick.
Go for it.
Do we shower when quilting?
We like to protect our quilts.
Yes. So,
Even though
turn
we're going to
that.
use the good old preview paper, you want to make sure
Yeah.
you don't go off the edge of it. So a clear shower curtain from the dollar store, priceless.
Yes. Okay. So, should I just draw on the shower curtain, or should I draw on your preview paper?
Go for the preview paper,
Okay.
because I want to use your shower curtain when you're done. We're just, I'm going to pass it down.
I didn't know that quilt by committee meant we shared a shower curtain.
It works, right? Yeah.
I almost said something inappropriate.
Let's keep it quilting appropriate here, ladies.
PG. Okay. So the quilt, you see like these blocks, and that block is kind of like the focus, but I want to create a different design. So I'm kind of looking, and I'm just going to draw a circle right here. kind of looking at this circular kind of, oh, that's,
A
You said
squircle?
that's a
circular.
squircle.
It's a squircle. We like squircles.
Think of it like doing something in here.
Okay.
Maybe something there, and then I could do kind of something else in here, and then do some fills. But rather than having that be the focus, I could move that to be the secondary focus.
For the quilting.
Yeah.
I like it.
Oh.
Do you want the?
Oh, fingers work great
Okay.
too. I could digitize Parry the Platypus.
There you
and put
go.
him in the center.
And you know what? You could do like rays around him, so he's like.
Oh, rays of sunshine coming
There
off
we
of Parry
go.
the Platypus.
It
I
would
love
make
it.
Lena so happy. She would love that. You'll have to send this to school with her to hang on the wall in
Yeah,
her dorm
I'm
room.
sure her college roommates would love it. Okay, I don't think I like the rays because that does interfere quite a bit with my
Okay.
stars. So we're going to erase that.
Some other kind of a background.
But see, this is why preview paper is so fabulous. I can try things and then say, oh, I don't like that, and not have to skin the quilt 50 times.
There you go.
Okay, so if I did that, then my next one, I would have something like, where's my preview paper?
There you go.
Right there? Okay. Another one over here, and then one down here. And I would just repeat that around.
Okay.
Now, the borders, I don't have a clue. I have not gotten that far yet.
Well, if you're going to digitize Parry the Platypus for the center, maybe you could make him a continuous line design too and do him in your
Ooh,
border
you could have a
all the way
dancing
around.
platypus.
What if I digitized all the characters for the show
There you
and they
go.
could just dance around the border?
I love it.
That's brilliant.
I love it. That would be fantastic. How much time would you want to spend on this quilt again?
And do I ever want to hang this at work?
Maybe this will turn into a baby quilt, huh? With Parry the Platypus on it.
Maybe. So yeah, so breaking up those shapes, that's my goal. I'll probably spend a little bit more time working on this on the computer because it's a little bit easier for me to see the overall design and then bring it to the quilt top so I can see what it's going to look like to scale.
Exactly.
So.
Exactly. All right. Well, is that as much as you want to do? Do we have any other
For now.
ideas, Denise? to
I
throw
might
at
think
her?
of more ideas as we get going.
So I remember a quilt Kristina did a few years back, and she actually digitized words going around the border. That could be fun too, different sayings from the show, or even just Parry the Platypus in block letters going around the border too. That might be faster than digitizing all of the characters.
It might be. Even the names of the characters would be really cute going around it. Could do
Okay,
some fun like
so this really comes back to I've got to determine the purpose of the quilt.
that. Right. Right.
If the purpose of the quilt is for my daughter to take it to college, probably do the Parry the Platypus things.
Okay.
If I decide that this is going to be something that's going to be hung at Handi Quilter or maybe a sample for when I'm teaching classes or hung at my house, like we have more space for more quilts,
Right.
then I would take a different approach.
Okay.
So again, it goes back to those initial questions of what is it going to be for? How much time do I have? What is my skill level? Things like that.
Okay.
It might be edge to edge.
It might be edge to edge. Hey, I bet you could make a really fun edge to edge with the characters from Phineas and
You guys
Ferb.
have gotta
I'm
quit.
just saying. I think we're going to keep pushing her in this direction. You got to
think
do
so.
Phineas and Ferb.
It has been the Parry the Platypus quilt the whole time you've been working on it, so it's got to be in the quilting somewhere.
Yeah. I was thinking the label, but you know.
That's an idea too. I mean,
Yeah, just
people aren't going to see the label as much, so I'd love to see at least one Parry the Platypus on the
Okay.
front of it somewhere.
Okay, so that's going to be my goal.
okay.
Somewhere on this quilt, I don't know where,
Okay.
but somewhere I'm going to hide, if I don't do the whole thing, Parry Platypus. Parry the Platypus. But if I do it just custom, normal, somewhere I will hide a Parry the Platypus.
Okay.
And you guys will have to find it.
Okay. I like that. I like that challenge.
I'm way more excited about your quilt than my own at this point. I'm really invested in it at this point.
I know. Christina's the one that's got the theme rolling here. It's going to be awesome. It's going to be awesome. So, okay.
Okay,
Great.
so should we move on to
Yeah,
yours?
yeah, we can move on to mine. So here, I'll pass this
We'll
paper
just
down
shift
to
the
you.
shower curtain
Yeah.
to you.
So first of all, I just want to show, so this is the backing I'm going to use. I tried to find something that was a little more fun and colorful. not just red and white. And I actually want to take the idea of kind of the circles more or less randomly placed into the quilting on the front. So that's why I wanted to show everybody that. So let me grab this. I'm going to do Kristina's trick of, woo! We'll just throw that back there. Okay, batting. This is definitely going to end up being either a wall hanging. I even thought this could be fun to use as like a table topper. I have a lot of red and white in my house. Red's my favorite color. So this would be fun to put on maybe even like a table. So I am definitely going to do the 2 layers of batting though, because once again, just like you said, it's solids. The quilting is absolutely going to show. Thread. Okay, this was, we started talking about thread and I was like, oh, I'm just going to do monopoly. And then one of you mentioned, why don't you use a variegated? And I was like, you know what? I have a problem with buying red variegated thread. As you can see, I've got 2 here that I haven't even opened and 1 that I have opened and used. So I've got 3 different red variegated King Tuts. This is from Superior Threads. And I think these are all really fun. I think that will be some fun. Okay, the wheels are turning in Kristina's. I can see this here. So I wanted to do my little test here.
I think there might be a Fantastico Christmas kind of just red and white variegated.
Ooh, that could be cool too.
I might have to do a little research
with
And
it.
I'm crushing on this one. This one here has that beautiful
purple
in it and some orange, so it's picking up other tones of the red. I think it could add a lot of depth.
Yeah, this one's really fun. This one is very red on red, and then this one is definitely a little more orangey.
Blended.
So I wanted to show this, like when you're auditioning threads, what you like to do is just kind of put up what we like to call a little puddle of thread here on your quilt to kind of get an idea of what it'll look like. So I'm going to do little puddles of thread.
And with the variegated, you definitely want to make sure that you get all the different colors of the variegated on both colors of your quilt tops.
Yes.
You can see, because you can't determine, oh, I want this color to show up on the white and this color to show up on the red. It's going to show up wherever it shows up.
Exactly, and especially with the type of quilting I want to do. So I don't know, what do you guys think? I do, you know what, the one that has the little bit of orange in it actually is looking kind of fun. I don't know how well we can see that there, but it just, the purpley and the orange, the red on red, like over here is actually, I think it just reads as plain red.
Yeah, the red on red, it's not going to show very much in the red, but it's going to definitely show up in the white. Whereas this other one, you're going to see stuff in both the red and the white to kind of balance it a little.
Balance it out. So okay. When I start quilting, I might do just a little bit of testing, but I think this one right here might be my winner. So it's called, what's it called? Ramsays Red.
Ooh.
So,
and if you decide you don't like it, I can bring my husband's razor blade in, or the beard trimmer, or the eyelash thingy. There's so many tools.
We'll do something to do some trimming, some skinning a quilt. I know I watched you do that, and I was like, oh, I kind of want to do that now.
It was fun.
It looked very therapeutic.
So, okay, so we're gonna leave this sitting out there, and let's go ahead and pull this over, and I want to kind of talk through the design I have. So there's oh, thanks. So there's a quilt here at Handi Quilter that's hanging on a wall that's done by one of our national educators. And here's a picture of it. It is done by Amy Van Gerp, and I have always crushed on how she quilted this quilt. She did lines through it, and then she did circles, and so I kind of want to do something like that. What I'd like to do, and I grabbed some rulers here, our new solid set rulers. What I want to do is just take and put circles kind of randomly, like Kristina, you were very thoughtful in where you placed your circles. Mine are going to be completely random. So I'm just going to kind of plop them on wherever.
Okay, watch the line on the preview
I'm watching
paper.
the
Otherwise,
line on
you're
the
going to end
preview
up with
paper.
this.
I know. So we'll do those 2 there. And here, I'm going to pass this over to you. And then what I want to do, I think, is kind of create concentric rings and then do different designs inside each one. Ooh. What do you think? Okay, I like that the wheels are turning here. So what are some design ideas you guys think would look good in here?
Of course, ribbon candy.
Oh, ribbon candy. Okay, let me put on my ribbon candy brain. In a circle. Loop. Okay.
45. Loop. 45. Loop. 45.
Loop. Loop. Okay, and I always quilt much smoother than I draw. Okay, I kind of like that. That's kind of fun. Okay, that's a fun one.
That is a fun one.
What about you, Denise?
If you wanted it to skew more traditional, you could add some feathers, but this looks like it's going very, very modern. You can throw some feathers in on a modern quilt because your whole layout is modern here.
Yeah.
So it could be fun to have a few little touches. But maybe even an untraditional feather. It could be a spineless feather or just one side of a feather.
So what if I did like a feather inside one of these loops? Okay, I got to think here for a minute. Drawing a feather inside one of these loops. So coming up and doing, maybe I'll do something with kind of a point on it. Maybe a little bit of a non-traditional feather, kind of like the ferny. I don't know. Is that looking like a feather?
Fernius and Ferb and Fernius. That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to do ferns.
Fernius and Ferb. So something like that. Actually, that kind of looks like a peppermint now. But
It
that looks
does.
kinda cool.
And it creates a lot of movement. I can see that spiraling around. That's fun.
I'm really liking that. So that's really fun. And then in the center, I don't know, maybe doing like some real micro quilting and doing like just something that will just kind of scribble and pack it down. Just kind of draw your, because there's a lot of movement rolling there with all those. And I'll probably do channels between each one of these designs, that 1/4 inch offset. Then what I want to do is I want to have going all the way across the quilt, doing some kind of an angle of lines that go across. So, and this is where it's going to be tough, and this is where you run into with yours was kind of deciding if you're going to connect the lines.
Yeah. Well, with the layout that I did on the one behind us, I put sashings in between.
Right.
But I didn't think about the measurement of the sashing to have a nice straight 45-degree line that would connect everything. But this one, you followed the instructions with your layout,
Yeah.
so it probably will
It
line
did
up
line
a
up
little bit better.
pretty well. And I think it'd be fun to do some more cool fills in here.
Or maybe even, honestly, keep your really detailed
Dense?
fills to the circles, and maybe just do some straight lines in there,
Oh.
some squiggles.
Okay. So just
it
something to kind of-
creates a link between the circles, but it doesn't add a lot of detail there.
Gotcha. And it makes the circles a little bit more of the focus. So I want to have one section that's going like sideways or at an angle through the whole thing, and then the rest of the quilt I want to do straight up and down. So I'll do the same kind of a thing. And I'll probably, I'm actually drawing these pretty close too, but I'll probably do all of these ones about the same width apart, and then I'll do these channels maybe even just a little bit wider. And then once again, I want to do a little bit of a channel to the side of them and then fill them with some kind of a design.
Now, earlier we talked about and kind of joked about our piecing. Something like with straight lines on this, if you don't want to accentuate, if your piecing's not perfect, offset it.
Yeah, absolutely. And that is such a good tip, such a good tip. Like for example, how I just drew this line right here, and it's not following any like straight lines in the quilt, this one right here either. That way I can actually create my own straight lines and not worry about it lining up with the piecing. But that's kind of my thought on that. And I do have, oh, I can actually show you guys here. So, and my thought would be it would go clear out to the border. So here, I'm going to scoot this over just a little bit. I would just continue it straight out through the entire border. I'm not going to treat the border any differently. It's going to be quilted as if it doesn't have a border on it, because it's all beautiful, open, cool, negative space to quilt in. It's kind of the way I'm looking at this.
Yeah, I'm kind of jealous. I'm thinking, how can I just incorporate the border into my whole design? Because I don't like doing borders.
You could do it. You could just continue your little your circles outside of, because I don't like doing borders either. But anyway, this is kind of my idea for this. That's what I'm thinking. What do you guys think? Anything to add or?
I'm really excited.
Yeah,
the first
think
thing I
it's
thought when you were putting your rulers down and drawing your circles, what if you didn't center them all?
Oh, I don't want to. Oh, you mean these inside?
Yeah.
Ooh.
Oh, so they're ooh, let's draw
Okay,
one of
so
those.
over there.
let's grab, where'd the big one go? Let's do another one over
Make
here.
sure your shower curtain's covering.
All the way to the
we're
edge.
good.
Your bottom corner's not covered.
Okay, there we go.
I got you covered.
Thank you.
Can you tell that I have drawn on quilts before?
It has happened. Okay, I'm going to pass
Okay,
that one over to
got
you.
it.
So you're saying go like
Yeah.
this. Okay,
Yes.
I like where you're going with this. Okay, so in other words, I could really do something quite unique with each and every set of circles so that I end up with something different. Okay, I really like
It's
that.
like a giant eyeball.
I love it. Giant eyeball.
I was thinking an olive, but
Oh, that
I
works
see the
too.
eyeball
That too.
now. I see the eyeball.
That would be, I can make it work either way.
I mean, if you do some stippling out here, it
Yeah.
could be an eyeball.
Well, and you know what? With the red and white, we could do like bloodshot eyes. Okay, I'm not actually going to do that, but that just made me think of it. And then we could do like a
There were
nice
some late nights
texture.
piecing these quilts.
I
so-
know, I know. Isn't that the truth? We could, yeah, there's my.
And then what would you name the quilt if you did that?
Ooh, I don't know. My eyes crossed while I was unpicking this quilt, maybe. We could definitely, okay, I gotta like fill this in now the rest of the way. I don't know. We'll have to see. Maybe I can do a version of that will be like a riff on it. Okay, this is gonna be really fun. I was thinking of doing, I definitely want to do an odd number of circles throughout. And I might even do, well, I don't want them all to be the same size. Just the rulers I grabbed were this. So I'll probably do some a lot bigger, some a lot smaller. I'll probably do, I'm thinking like 12 to 15 circles throughout the whole quilt. And yeah, we'll see how it rolls from there.
Oh,
So
that's gonna be
that's my ideas. You guys,
Okay,
thank you. Yes.
So I'm going to have a hidden Parry the Platypus in mind. You're going to have a hidden
eyeball.
bloodshot eyeball.
Or
Bloodshot
maybe
eyeball.
not
Okay.
so hidden.
Absolutely. No, that'll be perfect. That'll be perfect. So, all right, awesome.
Oh
okay.
boy, I'm feeling the pressure now.
I
I'm gonna have to
know.
hide something in
So,
my quilt somewhere.
Let's here. I'll just slide this one
Firecrackers.
down here. I know.
Okay.
I seriously, I keep looking at yours and thinking 4th of July. So let's slide your let's slide the shower curtain down here. Got to have
got
that
preview paper
insurance
down there?
behind
Sisterhood
preview.
of the traveling shower curtain
Yes,
here.
there we go. Very
Okay.
nice.
All right. So I cheated. I got a little bit of a head start. So we kind of joke whenever we're walking anywhere. Kim and Kristina are each like 3 feet taller than me, and they have longer legs. So I'm like running to catch up with them all the time. So I got a head start. And I started just by simply outlining. I've got to figure out where to line it up,
I was
though.
gonna say, wasn't this one? I think flip it around the other way. Maybe
No, I think-
was this edge on the other side?
I think you're right.
I think that's what you had.
Okay, so the head start didn't help because then I couldn't figure out where I was.
There you go.
So I did a little bit of outlining. I'm going to take a nod here from the quilt that Kristina quilted that's behind us. She kind of outlined about 1/8 of an inch outside. And I really want to take advantage of this negative space in here. So I'm going to use my trusty 401 So Fine from Superior Threads. I love this thread. Whenever I buy like 3 cones of it. Use it for everything. But I want some really tone on tone things going on here. I don't want to go really high contrast with the thread because I've already done that with the blocks. The original pattern just had all of the same color blocks, and then I did the red and the blue, and I want that to be more of the focus, but I want the quilting to add to that. So I started by outlining, and now I need help.
Now you need to, okay, so I have a question for you. Are you going to add a border?
I'm not.
Okay, so you're
I'm
not going to have
adding
a border.
I might not even add a binding. I might just face this one.
Okay.
It is going to be a wall hanging, so I know I'm going to do 2 layers of batting, and I'm either going to use wool on top, but because I have white fabric,
yeah.
I might use a white polyester puff instead of the wool.
wool.
I'll audition both and see what it looks like. But I know I want to keep the quilting white on the white sections, so that's a little hard on the eyes at times, but it's something that can really just make the other areas of the quilt pop. So I don't know, what do you think about just doing some straight line quilting?
I think it could be really cool on this, especially in the white. This outline that you've created and then filling it with directional lines, it would create a lot of movement. I kept having the thought of taking this right here and like taking from a center point and doing straight lines
Like a
all the
ray?
way out, like a ray, like a firework.
Let's draw it. Well,
So-
and that was kind of my initial
I think that could be cool.
thought. Now I could just like crisscross it and do
Or do it all out from the center.
Or I could do an actual
Yeah,
ray.
like in and out, in and out, in. Yeah, that's
And-
in my mind. That's what I was picturing. Oh, that's
Because
cool.
we have so much piecing intersecting right there,
Mm-hmm.
I think what I might do is not have all of my lines come right to the center.
I like that.
Because then I'm going to get just a little too much building up there.
Yeah.
So I could do a little bit of a gap on some of them. But that leads a
cool.
fun little, and I drew that initially with purple just to give myself an outline to start with. I would tie it all together.
I like that. Your the straight lines really emphasize your piecing too, because she did a really great job. Denise did a really
Yeah.
great job on her piecing. I just kind of slapped mine together.
I did a good job on my
Points
pressing.
actually connect.
I know they do, and they're straight, and she has
Some
points.
of them do. Some of them do. Some of them don't. Okay, so I really like that. I hadn't thought of that beyond
I think that'd
maybe
be
some
cool.
straight line quilting, but where do I go with
Yeah.
it? I want a little bit of a modern edge to the type of quilting I'm doing, because these are just really traditional fabrics. This
Yeah.
is not my usual style.
Yeah.
And so I just want to think outside the box with it a little bit. I love this shape. What do you think we could do with this one?
I think you could do kind of
Just
the same kind of thing.
do the same
Yeah.
variation on that. So just create a start point in the
Yeah.
center. And
And
draw a
do-
straight line, gonna draw a straight line there, and then maybe do some,
Oh, that's kind of cool. Those almost look like stars to me now.
It does
like
look a
in
little
the
bit of
center,
star.
which echoes the stars you've got going
and
here.
I can have fireworks and stars in the sky. I like it, so.
I think that'd be really cool.
Might even echo that again.
I just had a thought. What if you used like a white thread that has a little bit of shine, like a white glitter, or a white
Glitter, do you hate me?
metallic? Well, even like a white metallic though, something that would have a little bit of sparkle to it, would really like just. I think it'd be cool.
I think it could
It's
be
just
cool.
an idea.
So going back to the
Yeah.
glitter, I don't think I would want to construct my whole quilt with it, because I want these layers to stay together. But what if I came back, I could do a little bit of fill with some glitter.
I like that.
In some of these, so maybe I could do some pebbles
like
or some
that.
stippling.
So this is going to go back to how much time
Yeah.
do you want to put into it?
And yours is smaller. So
Mine's much smaller than both of yours.
Yeah.
Again, I only did
Yeah.
12 blocks. I'm okay with investing a little more time, because this isn't going to college with anybody. This is going to hang on the wall. The
don't know if
dogs are
she's
not
gonna
going
get
to
this
lay on it.
What?
So if I decide to invest a little more time, I might come back and do that.
like
That would be my. I think that would be my last thought there. I really want to get all of the main quilting done first, and then I can come back, change threads, and look at how I want to embellish it. Because I do like that idea of adding a little bit of sparkle to it. But again, thinking that I was originally thinking 10 hours a time, looking at how much time I have. My holiday quilts are done and pieced. Maybe I have a little more time to throw at this right now, because I like that idea. That could really be fun. Just add a little more detail,
Yeah.
kind of, and that'll actually serve to kind of smush down the fabric behind, which is going to create more texture and allow the straight lines I'm laying down to really show. Because if you're doing custom quilting, you want to see it.
Yeah.
You know, you want there to be a reason behind it, and it's already going to be white thread on white fabric. So I want to create more texture. So adding in that fun thread, I like it. I like it. I didn't even think about that. I love quilting by committee, because you get all kinds of ideas that wouldn't occur to you initially. So that's a fun place to go. I don't know what I'm doing out here yet. I could take this shape and just continue that shape out and do the little pointed
Yeah.
design again, and then just create something different. Notice that I'm not drawing carefully.
Yeah.
This is about getting ideas down. This is not, that's really off.
It's okay.
It's really off.
Trust me.
But
I
I
think it
could
looks
mimic
great.
the same thing over here, and then I have just something to do. I could even change thread colors out here and
Yeah.
maybe do a variegated red and white, or a red,
Oh.
or red, white, and blue, or red and blue thread.
Yeah.
I'd have to look through my collection of thread and see what I've got. But that could be fun to do, or even just, you know, add some piano keys. Keep that straight
that'd be
line
cool.
going, and just keep that going in the background all the way around the quilt.
I love how you've created a border there without actually adding a piece border by the
and
white
this is
negative
fast.
space there.
Yep.
So if I'm going to invest a lot of time here, this is going to make up for it here, because this is really, really fast work. So
You could always add in some of the
yeah.
pebbles. Is
I
that
was
what you were
gonna
going to
say.
say?
And even just on a few of them
Yep.
here and there.
Yep.
Another nice thing about doing piano keys in a border is a lot of times when I do a border, I take the quilt off and I turn it.
Mm-hmm.
This is a small quilt, but also piano keys are so easy to do. I would not have to turn the quilt to do it. So maybe like every third one,
Well,
I
and
add some
that's-
pebbles.
That's something you could easily digitize too and do, because you've got, it wouldn't be too hard to set those areas up because
No.
you've got very straight lines. You don't have any curved piecing to deal with.
Exactly. So I could use my multi-point in Pro Stitcher to set an area around those and plop my design in there and crop that and make it fit just right. Oh, the juices are flowing
I
now.
know,
I'm
I know.
excited. Lots of fun stuff going on here.
I think
totally
with that one, I think the straight lines that you're creating would be, if you're going to use like the glitter thread or something, that would probably show a little bit more with the like you do a longer stitch and let it show. I worry about the pebbles with
Well,
using glitter thread
with
because
glitter
you
thread
might,
and pebbles,
might have some
that's a good
issues with
point.
that.
So I might need to get out the razor blade if I try that. I'm definitely going to run a sample on that first and see how it works. So if that doesn't work, you know what? There's other shapes we could do. We could always just do
You could do ribbon
a
candy.
simple back and forth, or do that trusty ribbon candy. And honestly, the ribbon candy gives a really similar look to it, but it would probably be much easier on the thread because the glitter thread's really delicate. So we want to make sure that we're not putting too much strain on it. And Kristina said using a bigger stitch. I like that because if you're going to use a fancy thread, I call them fancy threads, you want to see the thread, so a bigger stitch allows more of that thread to show. So
Absolutely.
that, oh, so many good ideas.
I'd be the straight lines with that glitter thread and then come back with fill with like a micro
Micro.
quilter.
Okay. Oh my goodness. Okay, I'm going to get to play with thread. I initially just pulled this thinking background. I think I'm pulling in 3 or 4 more threads now. This is going to be
think
fun.
We're gonna finish filming and go in the back room and pull out all of the threads
I
and
know.
have a little bit of thread
We're
fun.
useless for the rest of the day. We're all going to be
know.
quilting.
I know. I had the same thought. I'm like, so who's going to walk in the studio and load their quilt besides me? I think we're definitely ready to get rolling.
think so.
Yeah.
All right. Well, this has been so much fun, and I don't know about you guys, but I am, like I was just saying, I am very excited to get started on this project now. I definitely was feeling a little bit of trepidation, especially after
I still am.
piecing this quilt, but I am really looking forward to quilting it now.
I think so too. And I mean, I only need to digitize straight lines. Kristina's got to come up with Parry the Platypus.
I
so
know.
Yeah,
pretty
that one will be
easy.
easy.
You're doing straight lines, I'm doing circles, and she gets to do a platypus. I think it's.
Okay.
I
I think we're all
even.
outside our boxes on this one.
Yeah.
So
Oh, what's her hidden thing gonna be? What are we gonna try
Well,
to
I
hide in there?
think we need to see how many different types of white thread she can put into this. What do you
okay,
think?
so maybe different
Ooh.
threads are going to be my hidden things. Maybe because it's a
Okay.
patriotic
Glitter.
quilt, I'm going to throw some stars in there as fills somewhere, and you'll have to
Ooh.
pick out where it's not ribbon candy, but there's actually stars in it somewhere.
I like it.
Ooh, I just had an idea.
Okay. Okay. Last idea. Last
All right, I need
idea.
a marker.
Okay. Okay.
Okay, where's my preview paper?
Just use
We can
this.
scoot it
Okay.
down.
So instead of doing your pebbles or your ribbon candy, make like your lines a little bit bigger and do the
Oh, so they're like little fireworks.
little
in
fireworks.
between.
I actually have that. I have that digitized. If you want.
Perfect. See, my project's getting easier and easier if you've already got the work done for me.
That's what
Oh,
I've
I
done.
love that. That's great.
Okay, I love these last minute additions. Now the really fun thing is going to be to watch in the future. We're going to do a separate episode on each one of our quilts, and you'll get to see what we really ended up doing. And we, of course, will spend a little bit of time talking about at the end, definitely the choices we ended up making, and what we learned, what we challenged ourselves with, what we'll do again, and what we'll never do again.
and I think that we should keep all of our bloopers in there.
I agree. I
All
totally
of our
agree.
mess ups.
Yeah.
Because it's
This
real
is-
quilting.
Yep.
We screw up.
Yep,
We
this
have
is-
thread breaks all the time.
All the time, all the time. We all have our quilting challenges. Actually, I'm perfect. Just joking.
Perfectly lying.
Yep. Exactly. Well, thanks for joining us today. Be sure to use hashtag Handi Quilter if you'd like to have one of your quilts featured at the end of this video, and have fun quilting.